condolences to the family and friends of Scott Hawkins, who died yesterday in a terrible act of violence. His life was far too short, and this is a tragedy that affects everyone in the Sacramento State community. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his loved ones. As the investigation continues in the coming days, we hope to learn more about what happened here. In the meantime, I ask that we let the police do their work and not speculate about possible motives. Here's what we know now. Yesterday afternoon, Scott and one of his suite mates were involved in an altercation. Campus police were called to the scene and they were confronted by a man with a knife. The officers did everything they could to subdue the suspect, including using pepper balls they had brought to the scene. Sadly, the suspect continued to come at them with a knife, and the officers were forced to fire. Police have identified the suspect as Quan Jones, and he is in police custody at the hospital and in stable condition. It breaks my heart to know that both Scott and Quan were students of this university. Although yesterday's terrible tragedy was an isolated incident, the death of a student touches all of us. So we mourn, and we will stand together. No one will be left without our help, our love, or our support. Crisis counselors from the university were either here or on call throughout the night. Those services will continue to be available for any student who needs them. This unwelcome act has brought a sense of grief so profound and so baffling to our campus that I fear we will never truly comprehend the reasons behind this horrific attack. After all, what can adequately explain such an unnecessary loss of life? But I do want to assure you that the grief we are feeling today is matched in depth by a resolve to uncover all the facts of this case. And I promise that we will use every ounce of our determination and every resource at our disposal to prosecute the person responsible for this tragedy to the full extent of the law. Before I close, I want to praise the work of our campus police. The brave officers who responded to the scene, contained the incident, and prevented any further loss of life. They risked their lives to protect the campus community. They have my most sincere thanks for their courage. Now I want to turn it over to Chief Davis. Thank you.
I just want to say that the officers that responded to the incident yesterday acted professionally and consistent with their training, and I'm proud of what they did. They did everything that they did to, or they could, to avoid using deadly force, and they were left with no alternative. I'm very proud of their actions yesterday, and I want to open it up to any questions that anybody might have.
Well, one of the questions I have is actually for the university president. We're talking about the ENS system. There was some question about how quickly that went out, the text message or the email went out.
Well, let me respond to that by, first of all, indicating that any system that's going to be of notification for any emergency, we have to balance whether we're going to cause a riot or we're going to really help the situation. The police responded immediately. They contained the situation. Right? They subdued the suspect. It was no longer a threat to life or limb or property. As the Sacramento police came in and started their investigation, we had no knowledge or information that we could share until they gave it to us. At the appropriate time, we were able to send out a message saying, this is what occurred, and everything is back as much as it can be to operating in the normal procedures. In this age of instant communication, there's always a balance that has to be struck. And I know everyone, including anyone, all of our students who walk around, I mean, they were on their cell phones and their iPods and everything else trying to get the information. What it does raise is the issue for us to have a very, very clear protocol of when we send out those messages, what we do. And what you saw yesterday was a team that responded exactly as it should have. Everyone was involved. We got involved. We got student affairs people involved, not only the police. I was here. Everyone that was appropriate was involved, and we got the information as soon as we thought that we could without causing a panic.
President Gonzalez, what can you tell us about the victim, about Scott Hawkins? What kind of person was he? What kind of student was he? What kind of interests did he have outside of class? What was his major?
I'm going to turn that over to Vice President Parmana.
At this point in time, I can say there was more than one shot fired.
Chief, what was the argument about between these two students?
Again, that's under investigation. We don't know right now. We're still trying to determine that.
The suspect is under police watch at the hospital. Is he talking?
We were able to talk to him briefly last night, but we didn't get a detailed statement from him yet.
Where on his body did the bullets hit him?
I can't say right now. We're still investigating that.
Can you say how many other students were in the building at the time, at least on the same floor where this occurred?
I cannot.
There are approximately 60 students in the corridor where the incident occurred. Many of them were, as they should be, in class. It happened in the middle of the afternoon. And very few students were displaced for a long period of time yesterday.
Can you give more details on the trauma that Scott Hawkins suffered? Was it death only from a bat? Was the knife used? What else can you say about that?
We don't know if the knife was used. We do know that there was a lot of blood trauma to the victim.
Can you tell us what type of knife it was? Was he even supposed to have something like that in the dorms?
It was approximately 8-inch single-edged kitchen knife, and that's about all we know right now.
Chief, was Karan Jones being treated for mental illness?
Not to my knowledge.
Has he been placed under arrest yet, or?
He's currently under arrest, that's correct.
Can you give us the specific charges?
Well, he's under arrest right now for assault with a deadly weapon on the police officers.
Is there any indication that either student was using drugs or alcohol at the time of the incident?
Not that we're aware of at this point in time.
Chief, do you have any witnesses that have come forward?
We do have some witnesses, yes, independent of the officers on the scene.
Were they in the dorm or were they outside? Or?
They were in the dorm, in the residence hall.
So these are witnesses who actually saw the altercation?
Yes, with the altercation with the officers.
Did they see the altercation between the two young men?
No. The initial report that we got was there was a disturbance in the residence halls and there were some items being thrown out the windows. That was all we initially got.
What does this say about the alert system itself and how campus police and the city police responded? Should students be concerned about their safety, or did it go off the way you believe it should?
I think it went off the way we believe it should. We don't want to create unnecessary panic here on the campus. It was a situation that we had control of. We had both of the involved individuals sequestered and under control. There was no continuing threat to the campus community. We used the system appropriately.
Chief, how long do you believe the attack took?
I would say we got the call. It took us 5 minutes to get here. So I would say it went on for at least 5 minutes, probably a couple minutes before that. It's hard to really say.
I think what some of us are trying to get at is how could it be that students were close enough to report it? They're seeing things coming out the windows, they're hearing something, but not offering aid to the victim.
I think that it sounded like it was an extremely hostile situation, and they wanted to wait for us to get here to take action.
And were you notified by a student, or how did the word come into your department?
We were notified by the residence hall staff.
Do you know if there were any prior altercations between these two people before this incident?
There were none that were reported to us.
Were there anything prior reported about Karan Jones on campus at any time?
No.
When was the last time there was a homicide on campus?
You know, I'd have to say I think that was 1998, before I came here.
All right, any final questions, and we'll be available here throughout the day and afternoon and to answer questions. But
Chief, you were due to be sworn in.
Thank you, President.